guys. Tonight we explore a divine financial miracle that could change your life forever. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that everything you once thought impossible is now within reach. A divine wealth transformation, ordained by God, is about to happen in your life. What will you do with such a blessing tonight? We dive deep into how aligning yourself with divine timing and faith can unlock your financial destiny. Before we begin, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly believe in the power of these messages. Let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is. I'm curious to know. Now, dim the lights, settle in, and let's embark on tonight's journey of transformation together. There's something stirring in the spiritual realm tonight, and I need you to feel it with me. Can you sense it? That gentle pull in your heart, that whisper in your spirit that says something significant is about to shift in your financial world. You didn't stumble upon this message by accident. You were guided here, drawn by divine appointment, because heaven has been orchestrating a financial awakening in your life that's been months, maybe even years, in the making. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and think about your relationship with money. Really think about it. Not just the practical side, the bills, the budgets, the worry, but the deeper spiritual connection. What has money meant to you throughout your life? Has it been a source of stress, a symbol of security you could never quite grasp? Or perhaps something you felt guilty about wanting, whatever your history with finances has been? I'm here to tell you that God is about to rewrite that entire story. You see, many of us have been taught to believe that desiring financial abundance is somehow unspiritual, that good people should be content with just enough, that wanting more makes us greedy or selfish. But tonight, I want to challenge that limiting belief with a profound spiritual truth. God desires for you to prosper, not just spiritually, not just emotionally, but financially too. Your Creator, who painted every sunset and counts every star, who knows every hair on your head, also cares deeply about your financial well-being. Think about the parable of the talents for a moment. The master didn't give his servants money just to hide it away or feel guilty about having it. He expected them to multiply it, to use it wisely, to create abundance from what they were given. You, my friend, are that servant, and you've been given talents, not just skills and abilities, but the divine right to prosper financially in ways that honor both your highest good and the greater good of all. But here's what I've learned after years of studying spiritual principles and witnessing countless financial miracles. Your awakening to divine abundance begins not with external circumstances changing, but with an internal shift in how you see yourself in relationship to money and prosperity. It starts with recognizing that you are worthy, not because of what you've accomplished or how hard you've worked, but simply because you are a beloved child of the divine. I can almost hear some of you questioning this right now. But what about my past mistakes? What about the times I've been irresponsible with money? What about my current situation? Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you. Your past financial story does not determine your future financial destiny. God's mercy is new every morning, and that includes mercy over your financial life. Every day you wake up, you have the opportunity to partner with divine abundance in a fresh way. Tonight marks the beginning of your financial awakening because you're finally ready to receive it. Not because your circumstances have changed, but because your consciousness is shifting. You're beginning to understand that abundance isn't something you have to earn or prove yourself worthy of. It's something that flows naturally when you align yourself with divine love and purpose. As we journey together through tonight's message, I want you to pay attention to what happens in your heart. Notice the moments when you feel resistance, when that old voice of lack tries to convince you that this kind of abundance isn't for someone like you. And equally important, notice the moments when your spirit soars, when something deep inside you recognizes the truth of what we're exploring together. Your divine financial awakening begins tonight because you've finally reached the spiritual maturity to handle what God has always wanted to give you. You're ready to be trusted with abundance because you understand that true prosperity is not about accumulation for its own sake, but about becoming a channel through which divine love and provision can flow to others as well. The signs have been there all along, haven't they? You might not have recognized them at first, but heaven has been preparing you for this financial breakthrough in ways both subtle and profound. I want you to think back over the past several months, maybe even the past year or two. What patterns do you notice? What seemingly unrelated events or experiences now start to make sense when viewed through the lens of divine preparation? Perhaps you've been feeling restless in your current financial situation, sensing that there's something more for you but not quite knowing how to access it. That restlessness isn't dissatisfaction, it's divine discontent, a spiritual stirring that happens when your soul knows you're ready for expansion, but your mind hasn't caught up yet. God plants these seeds of holy dissatisfaction in our hearts when He's preparing us to receive something greater than what we currently have. Or maybe you've noticed that you've been thinking about money and abundance differently lately. Where you once felt guilt or shame around the desire for financial security, you're beginning to feel a sense of righteous expectation. Where you once believed you had to choose between being spiritual and being prosperous, you're starting to understand that true spirituality includes stewardship of material blessings. This shift in consciousness is no accident. It's evidence that heaven has been working on your heart, preparing you to receive what's coming. I wonder if you've also noticed an increase in what some might call coincidences, but what I recognize as divine orchestrations. Maybe you've been running into people who spark ideas about new income streams, or you've stumbled across opportunities that seem almost too good to be true. Perhaps you've been having dreams about abundance, or finding yourself drawn to books, videos, or conversations about financial success and spiritual prosperity. These aren't random occurrences, they're breadcrumbs on a trail that God has been laying out for you. Some of you might have experienced what feels like financial setbacks recently, and you're wondering how that could possibly be a sign of preparation for blessing. But here's a profound spiritual truth. Sometimes heaven allows us to experience a temporary limitation so that we can fully appreciate the abundance that's coming. Sometimes we need to feel the weight of financial pressure so that we develop the spiritual muscles necessary to handle true prosperity responsibly. Think about Joseph in Egypt, who had to experience the pit and the prison before he could step into his role as a financial administrator for an entire nation. Or consider the Israelites, who had to wander in the wilderness, learning to trust God for daily provision before they could enter the promised land flowing with milk and honey. Your recent challenges haven't been punishments, they've been preparation for something magnificent. Have you also noticed that you've become more generous lately, even when you didn't feel like you had much to give? Maybe you found yourself wanting to help others, to contribute to causes you care about, or to be more giving with your time and energy. This expansion of your giving heart is actually one of the strongest signs that God is preparing you for increase. He never gives us more than we can handle, and part of preparing us for financial blessing is expanding our capacity to be a blessing to others. I've also seen many people experience what I call supernatural provision during their preparation phase, unexpected money showing up, bills getting paid in ways they can't explain, or resources appearing just when they needed them most. These small miracles aren't just random acts of divine kindness. They're God's way of building your faith and showing you that He is indeed your provider. They're training wheels for the bigger financial miracle that's approaching. Another sign that heaven has been preparing you is an increased sensitivity to spiritual principles around money and abundance. You might find yourself more aware of your thoughts and words about finances, more conscious of when you're operating from fear versus faith. You might be naturally gravitating toward gratitude practices, or finding yourself more mindful about how you handle the money you do have. This heightened spiritual awareness around finances is your inner guidance system coming online, preparing you to navigate abundance with wisdom. Perhaps most significantly, you've developed a deeper trust in divine timing. Where you once felt anxious and impatient about your financial situation, there's been a gradual settling into faith that what's meant for you will come at exactly the right time. This trust isn't passivity, it's the mature spiritual understanding that God's timing is perfect, and that your role is to stay aligned and prepared rather than to force outcomes through worry or manipulation. All of these signs point to one beautiful truth. You are not the same person you were 6 months ago, or even 6 weeks ago. Heaven has been doing a deep work in your heart, mind, and spirit, preparing you to receive and steward the financial blessing that's already on its way to you. The preparation phase is nearly complete, and the manifestation phase is about to begin. Now we come to perhaps the most crucial part of your journey toward divine financial abundance, the sacred work of releasing the wounds and fears that have been blocking money from flowing freely into your life. I need you to understand something profound. Your financial struggles haven't just been about external circumstances or bad luck or timing. They've been deeply connected to the emotional and spiritual relationship you've had with money, often rooted in experiences and beliefs you formed long before you even realized what was happening. Take a deep breath with me right now, because what we're about to explore together requires courage. It requires the willingness to look honestly at the places where your heart has been hurt, where fear has taken root, where shame has whispered lies about your worthiness to receive abundance. But I promise you this: on the other side of this healing work lies a freedom and flow of prosperity that will transform not just your bank account, but your entire life. Let's start with your earliest memories about money. Can you remember the first time you became aware that money was something to worry about? Maybe you were a child overhearing your parents argue about bills, feeling the tension in the house when finances were tight. Perhaps you learned that money doesn't grow on trees, or that we can't afford that so many times that scarcity became your default expectation. These early experiences didn't just teach you facts about money, they shaped your nervous system's response to financial situations. For many of you, money became associated with stress, conflict, or disappointment from a very young age. Your little nervous system learned to go into fight or flight mode whenever financial topics came up. And here's what's so important to understand: that same stress response is still running in your body today. Every time you think about money, every time you check your bank account, every time an opportunity for increase presents itself, your body remembers those early fears, and it's been trying to protect you by keeping you small, by avoiding financial risks, by settling for less than what your heart truly desires. Some of you carry wounds from being told that wanting money makes you greedy or selfish, that good people shouldn't care about material things. Maybe you grew up in a religious environment where poverty was seen as virtuous and prosperity was viewed with suspicion. These beliefs created what I call a spiritual split in your psyche. Part of you desperately wants financial security and abundance, while another part feels guilty or ashamed for having those desires. This internal conflict has been exhausting, and it's been blocking the very blessings that God wants to pour into your life. Others of you have been wounded by financial betrayal. Perhaps someone you trusted made poor decisions with money that affected you. Or maybe you were taken advantage of financially. These experiences taught you that money makes people do terrible things, that you can't trust yourself or others when it comes to finances, that it's safer to just not have much rather than risk being hurt again. But living in financial fear isn't protecting you, it's imprisoning you. And then there are those of you who have been carrying shame about your own financial mistakes. Maybe you've made decisions you regret. Maybe you've been irresponsible with money in the past. Maybe you've hurt others through your financial choices. That shame has been like a heavy blanket over your ability to receive, because deep down you don't believe you deserve abundance after what you've done. But let me tell you something that's going to set you free. God's grace is bigger than your mistakes. Your past financial failures do not disqualify you from future financial blessings. Here's what I want you to understand about these money wounds. They weren't inflicted on you to punish you or to keep you small forever. They were part of your soul's journey toward understanding the true nature of abundance. Every wound has taught you something about what you don't want, and more importantly, it's made you hungry for something better. Your pain has been developing your compassion. Your struggles have been building your strength. And your healing is going to become a source of hope for others who are walking similar paths. But healing doesn't happen by simply understanding your wounds intellectually. It happens through the courageous act of feeling them, acknowledging them, and then choosing to release them into the hands of divine love. Right now, I want you to place your hand on your heart and speak these words, either out loud or silently. I am safe to receive abundance. I am worthy of financial blessing. My past does not determine my future. I release all fear, shame, and limitation around money into the hands of divine love. Can you feel something shifting as you speak those words? That's your nervous system beginning to reset itself around money. That's your heart opening to possibilities you've been afraid to imagine. That's the spiritual realm responding to your willingness to heal and receive what's been waiting for you all along. The wounds are being healed, the fears are being replaced with faith, and the limitations are dissolving into love. You are becoming free to receive the abundance that has always been your divine birthright. Now that we've begun the healing work, it's time to explore something that might be entirely new to you, the sacred art of faithful receiving. This isn't about sitting back passively and waiting for money to fall from the sky. This is about actively aligning your heart, mind, and spirit to become a worthy vessel for the divine financial blessings that are already flowing toward you. Think of it as preparing a beautiful container to hold something precious that's being poured out just for you. Most of us have been taught how to work for money, how to earn it, how to save it, how to spend it. But very few of us have ever been taught how to receive it in a way that honors both our own worthiness and the divine source from which all abundance flows. Faithful receiving is a spiritual skill, and like any skill, it requires practice, intention, and a deep understanding of the principles that govern it. The first principle of faithful receiving is recognizing that you are already worthy, not because of what you've accomplished, not because of how hard you work, not because you've proven yourself in any way, but simply because you exist. You are a beloved child of the divine, created in love, for love, and your Creator's desire is for you to thrive in every area of your life, including financially. When you truly absorb this truth into your being, something remarkable happens. You stop trying to earn what has already been freely given, and you start learning how to gracefully receive it. But here's where many people get stuck. They intellectually understand that they're worthy of abundance, but emotionally and energetically, they're still operating from a place of lack and limitation. They're like someone standing under a waterfall of blessings, but holding up an umbrella because they're afraid of getting wet. Faithful receiving requires you to put down the umbrella of fear, doubt, and unworthiness, and allow yourself to be drenched in divine abundance. This means you must become comfortable with the idea of having more than you currently have. I know that might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people sabotage their own abundance because they're not energetically prepared to handle increase. They've become so accustomed to struggle, so identified with lack, that prosperity feels foreign and uncomfortable. They unconsciously push away opportunities because receiving them would require them to see themselves differently. Faithful receiving also requires you to develop what I call supernatural expectancy, a deep, unshakable knowing that God's goodness is moving toward you, even when you can't see it yet. This isn't wishful thinking or positive mental attitude. This is a profound spiritual certainty that arises when you understand the true nature of divine love. When you know, beyond any doubt, that the same God who provides for the birds of the air and clothes the lilies of the field has already made provision for every need you have, including your financial needs. But expectancy without gratitude is like trying to fill a bucket with holes in the bottom. Faithful receiving requires a heart that's overflowing with thankfulness for what you already have, even if it doesn't look like much from the outside. When you approach abundance from a place of genuine gratitude rather than desperate need, you create an energetic environment that naturally attracts more to be grateful for. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're expecting a very important guest to come to your home. What would you do to prepare? You'd clean your house. You'd create a welcoming atmosphere. You'd make sure everything was ready to receive this honored visitor. Faithful receiving requires the same kind of preparation, but instead of preparing your home, you're preparing your heart, your mind, and your energy field to receive divine abundance. This means releasing the clutter of worry, fear, and anxiety that's been taking up space in your mental and emotional world. It means clearing out the negative beliefs about money that have been like dust covering the windows of your consciousness. It means creating space in your life, not just physical space, but emotional and spiritual space for the abundance that's coming. Some of you might be wondering how you can possibly feel grateful or expectant when your current financial situation feels so challenging. Here's a secret that the most prosperous people understand: gratitude and expectancy aren't dependent on your current circumstances. They're choices you make regardless of what's happening around you. They're not reactions to abundance. They're the very things that create the conditions for abundance to manifest. When you choose to be grateful for the $20 in your wallet, instead of resentful that it's not $2,000, you're aligning yourself with the energy of abundance. When you choose to expect good things to happen instead of bracing for the next financial disaster, you're opening yourself to receive the miracles that are already on their way to you. Faithful receiving is ultimately about trust, trusting that you are loved, that you are provided for, that you are worthy, and that the universe is conspiring in your favor, not against you. It's about relaxing into the arms of divine love and allowing yourself to be cared for in ways that exceed your wildest imagination. There's something mystical about divine timing that I need you to understand tonight. Something that could completely shift how you view your current financial situation and the breakthrough that's approaching. You see, your money miracle isn't happening randomly or accidentally. It's arriving at precisely the moment when your soul is ready to receive it, when the spiritual lessons have been learned, and when you've developed the capacity to handle what God wants to give you. Think about the seasons of nature for a moment. A farmer doesn't plant seeds in winter and expect them to grow immediately. They understand that there's a perfect time for planting, a season for growth, a time for harvest. Your financial life operates according to these same divine rhythms, and what you've been experiencing up until now hasn't been delay or punishment. It's been the necessary preparation time for the abundant harvest that's about to begin. I want you to consider the possibility that every financial challenge you've faced, every closed door, every no you've received, has been divine protection keeping you from receiving abundance before you were truly ready for it. What if those setbacks weren't setbacks at all, but rather course corrections, guiding you towards something far greater than what you originally thought you wanted? There's a profound difference between human timing and divine timing. Human timing is impatient, anxious, driven by fear of missing out or running out of time. Divine timing is patient, perfect, orchestrated with infinite love and wisdom. When you align yourself with divine timing, you stop pushing and forcing and trying to make things happen through your own effort alone. Instead, you learn to flow with the current of divine will, trusting that you'll arrive at your destination at exactly the right moment. But here's what's remarkable about this moment in your life. All the signs indicate that your season of financial waiting is coming to an end. The spiritual preparation that's been happening in your heart and mind has reached a level of maturity that can support the abundance that's been held in reserve for you. You've learned the lessons about worthiness. You've done the healing work around old wounds. You've developed the faith muscles necessary to receive without fear or guilt. Divine timing also takes into account factors that you couldn't possibly see or understand from your limited human perspective. Perhaps there are people you needed to meet first, connections that needed to be established, skills that needed to be developed, or experiences that needed to be gained before you could fully step into your financial destiny. Maybe there were obstacles that needed to be cleared from your path, or doors that needed to be opened in other areas of your life before this particular blessing could manifest. I've witnessed this phenomenon countless times. People who have been struggling financially for years suddenly experience a rapid succession of opportunities, breakthroughs, and abundance that seems to come from nowhere, but is actually the result of perfect divine orchestration. It's as if everything they've been working toward, hoping for, and preparing for suddenly aligns in a beautiful symphony of manifestation. Your angels and spiritual guides have been working behind the scenes, arranging circumstances, bringing the right people into your life, and preparing pathways for your abundance that you won't recognize until you're already walking down them. They've been coordinating with the divine intelligence that governs all prosperity, making sure that when your moment arrives, everything will be perfectly positioned for your success. This is why you've been feeling that sense of anticipation lately, that inner knowing that something significant is about to shift. Your spirit is more attuned to divine timing than your mind is, and it's been sensing the approach of your financial breakthrough like an animal senses an approaching storm. That restlessness, that excitement, that inexplicable hope you've been feeling, those aren't false signals. They're your soul's way of preparing you for what's coming. But divine timing also requires something from you, the wisdom to recognize your moment when it arrives. When your opportunity comes, and it's coming soon, you'll need to have the faith to say yes, the courage to step forward, and the spiritual maturity to receive what's being offered without sabotaging it through fear or unworthiness. The cosmic wheels are turning, the spiritual gears are clicking into place, and the divine timing for your financial miracle is at hand. What's required now isn't more waiting, more working, or more worrying. What's required is readiness, the readiness to receive, the readiness to expand, the readiness to become the abundant person you were always meant to be. Your time is now. Your season has come. Your divine financial timing is aligning perfectly with this moment in your life. And everything that's been held in spiritual escrow for you is about to be released into your physical reality. Can you feel them? The sacred doors of opportunity that are beginning to creak open around you. They've been there all along, waiting in the spiritual realm, but now they're materializing into your physical reality in ways that you'll soon be able to see, touch, and walk through. These aren't ordinary opportunities, they're divinely orchestrated openings that have been specifically designed for your unique gifts, your particular calling, and your destined path to abundance. But here's what I need you to understand about these sacred doors. They don't always look like what you expected them to look like. Sometimes divine opportunities come disguised as challenges, as invitations to step outside your comfort zone, or as seemingly small openings that require great faith to walk through. The door to your financial breakthrough might not have a neon sign above it saying, "This is your miracle." It might be subtle, requiring spiritual discernment to recognize its true significance. I've seen people miss their divine doors because they were looking for something more dramatic, more obvious, more immediately profitable. They were expecting their opportunity to arrive with fanfare and guarantees, when, in reality, most sacred doors require you to take the first step in faith before you can see where the path leads. They require you to say yes to possibilities that your logical mind might question, but your spirit knows are aligned with your highest good. Think about the biblical story of the widow and Elisha. When the prophet asked her what she had in her house, she said she had nothing except a small jar of oil. That tiny jar didn't look like the solution to her massive debt problem, but it was her sacred door. When she was willing to pour from what little she had, that oil multiplied beyond her wildest imagination, providing not just enough to pay her debts, but abundance for her future. Your sacred door might be disguised as something small, something you already have, something you've been overlooking. Some of you are going to find your sacred door through a conversation that seems casual but leads to a life-changing connection. Others will recognize it as an idea that keeps coming back to you, a creative inspiration that won't leave you alone, a vision that makes your heart race with possibility. For some, it will be an invitation to collaborate, to contribute your gifts to something larger than yourself. For others, it might be the courage to finally pursue that business idea, that investment opportunity, that career change you've been contemplating. But regardless of how your sacred door appears, there are certain qualities that all divine opportunities share. They will feel aligned with your values and your purpose. They will excite you and maybe scare you a little bit at the same time, because anything truly worth doing requires growth, and growth always involves some level of fear. They will seem to have perfect timing, even if that timing feels inconvenient to your logical mind. Most importantly, your sacred door will feel like coming home to yourself. When you contemplate walking through it, something deep inside you will whisper, "Yes, this is what I've been preparing for. This is what I've been waiting for. This is mine to claim." You'll feel an inner recognition, a soul-level knowing that this opportunity has been waiting specifically for you. I need to prepare you for something, though. When your sacred door opens, there will be voices both from others and from within your own mind that will try to talk you out of walking through it. Fear will present you with a list of all the reasons why you're not ready, why you don't have enough experience, why you should wait for better circumstances. Doubt will remind you of every time you've failed before, every reason to believe that you're not capable of success. But here's the truth that will set you free. You don't have to be perfectly prepared to walk through a sacred door. You don't need to have all the answers. all the resources, or all the confidence before you take the first step. Divine doors open for people who are willing to grow into their opportunities, not for people who already have everything figured out. The sacred doors opening around you right now are connected to a divine intelligence that sees your potential, your gifts, and your destiny more clearly than you can see them yourself. These opportunities aren't random. They're part of a carefully orchestrated plan to bring you into alignment with your highest financial good and your deepest sense of purpose. Your job isn't to create these doors or to force them open through your own effort. Your job is to stay spiritually awake, to listen to your inner guidance, to be willing to take inspired action when the moment comes, and to trust that what's meant for you will find its way to you at exactly the right time. The doors are opening. Can you hear them? Can you feel the shift in the spiritual atmosphere around your life? Your sacred opportunities are materializing, and your willingness to recognize and walk through them will determine how quickly your financial miracle manifests in your physical reality. Here's something that might surprise you about receiving divine financial blessings. It's not a solo journey. You're not meant to sit back passively and wait for abundance to drop into your lap. Instead, you're being invited into the most beautiful partnership imaginable, a co-creative dance with the divine, where your faith, your actions, and your alignment work together with heaven's infinite resources to manifest the financial miracle that's already been prepared for you. Understanding your role in this divine partnership is crucial because it determines not just whether you'll receive the abundance that's coming, but how gracefully you'll receive it, how wisely you'll steward it, and how powerfully you'll be able to use it to bless others. You see, God doesn't just want to give you money. He wants to give you money with a purpose, abundance with a mission, prosperity that becomes a force for good in the world. Your first role in this partnership is that of a faithful steward. This means you're being called to handle whatever you currently have, whether it's much or little, with the same care and wisdom you would want to demonstrate when you receive more. How you manage the $100 in your wallet today is a reflection of how you'll manage the $10,000 that's coming. How you treat the opportunities you have right now reveals how you'll treat the greater opportunities that are approaching. But stewardship goes beyond just managing money responsibly. It includes stewarding your thoughts about money, your words about abundance, your energy around financial matters. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint, every time you speak words of faith instead of fear, every time you act from abundance rather than scarcity, you're fulfilling your role as a faithful steward and signaling to the universe that you're ready for increase. Your second role is that of an active believer. This doesn't mean just mentally agreeing that God can provide for you. It means living as if you truly believe it. It means making decisions from a place of faith rather than fear. It means taking inspired action even when you can't see the full picture. It means saying yes to opportunities that align with your heart, even when your bank account suggests you should play it safe. Active belief also means releasing the need to control how your abundance manifests. You might be holding tight to one particular idea of how your financial breakthrough should happen, maybe through your current job, or a specific business idea, or a particular investment. But divine partnerships require surrender, the willingness to let God exceed your expectations and surprise you with blessings that are bigger and better than what you had imagined. Your third role is that of a generous giver. Now, before you start worrying about how you can possibly give when you feel like you barely have enough for yourself, let me explain what I mean by generosity in the context of divine partnership. Generosity isn't about the amount you give, it's about the heart with which you give. It's about being willing to share whatever you have, whether that's money, time, skills, encouragement, or simply a kind word to someone who needs it. When you operate from a generous heart, you're aligning yourself with the very nature of God, who is infinitely generous. You're demonstrating that you understand abundance not as something to hoard, but as something to circulate. You're showing that you can be trusted with more because you're already sharing what you have. This generosity creates what I call a divine circulation. As you pour out, more flows in, creating an ever-expanding cycle of abundance. Your fourth role is that of a continuous learner. Divine partnerships require you to grow, to develop new skills, to expand your capacity to receive and handle abundance. This might mean learning about investments, about business, about leadership, about communication. It might mean developing your spiritual practices, deepening your prayer life, strengthening your faith muscles. It might mean working on your emotional intelligence, your relationships, your ability to serve others. But perhaps most importantly, your role in this divine partnership is simply to stay connected, connected to your purpose, connected to your values, connected to the divine source of all abundance, and connected to the people who are part of your prosperity journey. This connection isn't maintained through perfection, but through presence. It's not about never making mistakes, but about staying open to guidance, correction, and course adjustments. As you step more fully into your role in this divine partnership, you'll begin to notice something magical happening. Doors will open that you didn't even know existed. People will appear in your life who have exactly what you need when you need it. Ideas will come to you that feel like downloads from heaven. Resources will manifest in ways that seem impossible, but feel perfectly natural. This is what it looks like when human willingness meets divine power, when earthly effort aligns with heavenly purpose, when your sincere desire to prosper joins with God's passionate desire to bless you. You're not just receiving a financial miracle, you're participating in its creation. The time has come for you to do something that might feel uncomfortable at first, but is absolutely essential for manifesting the financial miracle that's approaching. You must begin living today as the person who has already received God's abundant blessing. Not tomorrow when the money shows up, not next week when the opportunity manifests, not next month when circumstances change, but right now, in this very moment, with whatever you currently have in your possession. This isn't about spending money you don't have or making foolish financial decisions. This is about embodying the energy, the mindset, the spiritual posture of someone who knows beyond any shadow of doubt that they are provided for, cared for, and destined for abundance. It's about stepping into the identity of prosperity before the external evidence appears, because that's how divine manifestation works. The internal transformation must precede the external manifestation. What does it feel like to be someone who has already received their financial blessing? First, it feels peaceful. There's no anxiety, no desperation, no sense of urgency born from fear. When you know that your needs are met, when you trust that your provision is secure, when you believe that abundance is your natural state, you move through the world with a calm confidence that's magnetic and attractive to even more blessings. Someone who has already received their financial miracle also feels generous, not because they have unlimited resources, but because they understand that they are connected to an unlimited source. They give freely of whatever they have, their time, their attention, their encouragement, their skills, because they know that giving creates space for receiving. That circulation is the key to abundance, that holding tight to what you have actually blocks the flow of what's trying to come to you. This person also makes decisions differently. Instead of choosing from fear of lack, they choose from faith in abundance. Instead of playing it safe all the time, they're willing to take inspired risks. Instead of settling for less than their heart desires, they hold out for what they know they're worth. They invest in themselves, in their growth, in their dreams, even when their current circumstances suggest they should be more conservative. But perhaps most importantly, someone who has already received their financial blessing thinks differently about money itself. They see it not as something scarce that they have to compete for, but as something abundant that flows naturally to those who are aligned with divine principles. They don't worship money or make it their god, but they also don't demonize it or feel guilty about wanting it. They see it as a tool for good, a means of blessing others, a way to expand their ability to serve and contribute. I want you to start practicing this new identity today. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before you check your bank balance or think about your bills, spend a few moments feeling deep gratitude for the abundance that's flowing into your life. See it, feel it, embody it, even if your logical mind protests that there's no evidence for it yet. Your job isn't to manufacture evidence. Your job is to align with the energy of receiving. When you interact with others, practice the generosity of someone who knows they are abundantly provided for. This might mean buying coffee for the person behind you in line, or offering genuine encouragement to a friend who's struggling, or sharing your knowledge and skills freely with someone who could benefit from them. Let your actions flow from abundance rather than scarcity. When opportunities present themselves, even small ones respond from the identity of someone who expects good things to happen to them. Say yes to invitations that excite you, even if you're not sure how you'll manage the details. Invest in experiences that feed your soul. Even if your budget is tight, take the classes, attend the conferences, make the connections that your abundant future self would make. But here's what's so beautiful about stepping into this new identity as you begin to embody the energy of someone who has already received their financial blessing. You start to notice that the universe responds to you differently. People treat you differently. Opportunities show up differently. Your own creative problem-solving abilities expand. Your intuition about financial matters becomes sharper. Your confidence in your ability to create and attract abundance grows stronger every day. This isn't positive thinking or wishful thinking. This is spiritual law in action. You are literally rewiring your consciousness for abundance, retraining your nervous system to expect good things, realigning your energy field with the frequency of prosperity. And as you do this inner work, the outer world begins to mirror back to you the abundance that you're embodying within. As we near the end of our journey together tonight, I want you to make a commitment to yourself, not a commitment to be perfect, not a promise to never doubt or fear again, but a simple commitment to practice living from your abundant identity more and more each day. To catch yourself when you slip back into scarcity thinking and gently redirect your thoughts toward abundance. To notice when you're making decisions from fear and choose instead to make them from faith. Your transformed financial future isn't something that's going to happen to you. It's something that's going to happen through you as you align more and more completely with the abundant nature of your true self. The blessing isn't coming from outside of you. It's emerging from within you as you remember who you really are and what you're really capable of creating. The person you're becoming, the abundant identity you're stepping into, the prosperous future you're embodying. This isn't just about money. This is about becoming the fullest, most authentic, most powerful version of yourself. And that person, the real you, is already here, already whole, already blessed beyond measure.